Okay, well, let's take it away.
Thanks so much. This feels a little surreal. I'm so like, okay, thank you so much for talking to me. This
Or
is where I'm an Atlanta-based writer, but I also coordinate the Gay and Lesbian Film Festival when we're showing this film, and I'm so happy. So thank you so much for talking to me.
Of course, thank you so much for, I mean, we were thrilled to get into the film festival. I'm just so happy people are talking about this. I think it's such a important topic. So grateful to be
Exactly.
here.
When my husband and I watched this film, this was not something that was really well known outside of your circle, was it?
Yeah, I would say like, I mean, actually, we just premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival, and some friends of mine came. And even after that, they were like, I mean, I vaguely remember this happening to you guys, but like, I don't remember you talking about like how insane it was and how extreme it was. And honestly, even within our circles, I mean, it was just such an overwhelming time and period in our career and our life. So on top of the fact that it was scary and we were suspicious and paranoid about, who might be listening in or who might be reading our emails, it was also just a situation where it was just like, man, it was just such a crazy time in our life. So yeah, it's just a story we never really told.
Exactly. How difficult was it, learning, when to talk about this and who to talk to this about during that time when it started?
I mean, there was a tight knit circle, obviously, of our managers and then, people we were out on the road with, and then obviously, our closest friends that were made aware of it. As people would come work for us, obviously, we would let them know what was going on. I mean, once in 2013, so a couple years after it started, I mean, when we established that someone had hacked into an old email of mine and was operating it as if it were me. I mean, at that point, I had to, message everyone pretty much I'd ever met and say, if you are emailing this account, you're not talking to me. And about a dozen people I knew wrote and said, I've been talking to this account. I mean, they didn't have the same level of violation and trauma that JT did, for example, like, the person that in the film that, ended up having a romantic relationship with this person, like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it was one of those things that just it kept coming up, it was one of those conversations that we just ended up having to have with a lot more people than we wanted to. I mean, when our songs leaked, we had to go to our record company and hope that they didn't, penalize us or flip out about the fact that, demos for Heartthrob had leaked before we made and put out the album. I mean, it was a really stressful time. So I would say that it was a sort of a need to know basis that we would tell people, but as it got worse and broadened, I mean, it meant we ended up having to sort of tell everyone. I mean, we changed the way we communicated. We didn't email anymore. So
Yeah,
it was chaos, honestly.
exactly. How resistant were you to making this documentary?
I mean, I wrote a story called Fake Tegan and I took it to Jenny Elliskew, who ended up being a producer on the film. And she's the one that suggested we take it to Erin Lee Carr. Our original idea was actually to make it a podcast. And when Erin got involved, she was like, I think we should take this to Story Syndicate and we should pitch it as a film. So I wasn't resistant at all. I mean, it was my idea, but through the making of the film, I certainly was hyper focused on making sure that we handled this with care. I didn't want this to be a takedown of our audience, and I certainly didn't want to ruin anyone's life. I firmly believe that I know who fake Tegan is, and when we established that, the desire to go and unmask that person was not there. So I was super invested and involved, but I also, you know, wanted to make sure that we were being as careful as possible with people's lives and their personal information. I didn't want this to ruin anyone.
Catfishing is more common these days. It's still scary, but it's more common. But back in those early days, this must have been just terrifying. Because not knowing. I mean, what was it like when you first started finding out this and trying to find out who and why and what to do? And I mean,
I mean, even it's a great question because honestly, no one even used the word catfishing yet. I mean, that's like
exactly.
it was pre-catfishing, so it was like we were like, what is this crazy thing that's happening? You
Yeah,
know, word like words like people are being tricked, people
yeah.
being conned, people are being defrauded, but yeah, we didn't even know what it was. I think even at the time we understood this was something that was going to happen more frequently. I mean, it wasn't lost on us. People had been since MySpace and Facebook, we had heard stories about people making accounts and pretending they were our accounts, but it was pretty
Yeah.
harmless. You know, it was like, oh, there's a fake Facebook account for me. You know, we post on social media and our website and say, hey, if, you know, we don't have personal accounts, you know, like it was sort of just one of those things where it was like, well, the internet's crazy, just be careful out there. I don't think we had any comprehension of how big and how deep and how insidious this was. And um, you know, to this day, I just feel such gratitude to Julie and to Nick, the first two fans who came forward and said, like, something sinister is going on here, something weird's happening, like this doesn't seem right. Because I mean, I don't know how long it could have gone on before we would have been told. You know, like at that point, it had been going on for years, and we didn't know. So
How would you say that this affected your interactions with your fans?
you know, I mean, obviously, we talk a bit about it in the film that it definitely, um, you know, created apprehension and caution in us.
Yeah.
You know, I felt very much that this had happened to me in part because I had been overly friendly and been nice, and that people had taken advantage of that. I think, you know, in the years that followed this, a lot of other things happened, like, you know, the Pulse shooting in Florida, you
Yeah.
know, the Trump election, you know, the wave of anti-LGBTQ legislation that created a lot more fear in us as public people. You know, we hired private security, we made our VIP meet and greets more regulated, and um, yeah, there were shifts and changes that happened. I think social media in general has become more um negative and
Mhm.
toxic, and so, you know, I don't blame all of this on fake Tegan. I think the adjustments that we made to our safety and security and the way we handle our public lives and subsequently our fans is a product of and a result of so many things changing, but certainly fake Tegan added to that anxiety we felt, you know. And this is obviously culturally a conversation still happening, you know, obviously most recently with Chapel Rowan and Muna and Mitski coming out and talking about it. But every artist I know basically goes through a part of their a phase where they change their phone number 10 times and they, you know, cut the fat, if you will, from their life because it's like, you know, it's insidious and people just kind of get into your business. So yeah, you know, fake Tegan is not the sole reason why we had to change our lives, but part of it.
As a public figure, where do you draw the line? Where do you say I need privacy, or I'm here eating? Where do you sort of say this is too much?
Yeah, I remember, I'd say between 2007 and 2015, those were the years where fans were most intense and our breaches of privacy and our personal space and our comfort were probably most prevalent.
Yeah.
Thankfully it's subsided, but I'd say during that time, what we established was that it's a feeling, right? It's a gut feeling. Sometimes people are just rude and you're like, no, I won't take a selfie with you, you know, like, and I don't care, you know, I don't care if they're mad, you know, like I think if you have like basic common manners and politeness to you, I mean, there's, you know, I would never say no, but yeah, like you brought up, you know, eating, like, yeah, like if I'm at a restaurant and someone interrupts my meal and asks for a photo, I just think that's rude. And you know, I'm not rude to them. I'll just be like, I'm sorry, you know, I'm in the middle of a meal and I don't want to draw attention to myself. Like, no. And I think it's hard. People will literally go online after that and be like, they're fucking bitches. And you're like, Jesus. But that's fine. That's fine with me. I'm okay with that line. I think the line we draw is that when I'm working, I'm working. I'm happy to do my job. And I define my job as performing the show and being polite and being friendly. But when I'm not working, that's my private space, and I have to determine what I'm comfortable with. But honestly, every day of my life, someone approaches me and they're mostly nice, and they're just like, "Oh my God, I love your band," or "Oh my God, my mom named me after you," and it's like, that's so cool, that's awesome, love it, love it.
Um, why do you feel like your fans have such a connection to you two?
Because we're so cool. I think I think for some of them, they see themselves in us, which is awesome because I think
Yeah.
we're just normal people. You know, I think we've kept the veneer as thin as possible. We try to curate a very genuine version of ourselves, but it is a version, I admit.
Mhm.
You know, we don't welcome people into our homes and our private relationships and stuff. But generally speaking, I hope why they connect to us and why they have such a passionate connection is because we're real. Like, you know, we're just trying to be honest about what we're going through. I think there's a lot of our music and our presence online that's just us being us. And so, you know, I think that's why people connect, but also, you know, for a lot of our career, there wasn't a lot of queer representation in the mainstream. And I think you just latch on to whatever fucking, like, I know for myself, it's like, I'll watch any gay movie because I'm just like, I want to see it. I want to see gay people in the wild, you know? So, I know a lot of the early days of our career, or I don't even know if some of the people who were showing up loved our music. They just were like, I want to be around gay people. And we were like, you're welcome here, you know?
Oh, and my husband and I watched this. I mean, I just had no idea. I mean, this is such a well-made, absorbing document, and it's just so meticulous. It's sort of a detective story too, like following this trail, then following
Yeah.
this. So congratulations for the entire team for making this. But so can I ask you a little bit about TIFF in Toronto? I mean, what's it like, you know, making this documentary, spending so much time premiering it and sharing with people and getting this truth out there?
I mean, first and foremost, it was an amazing team, you know, starting
Yeah.
with Erin Lee Carr, who directed the film. I think she handled it so well, the whole thing, you know, she led with compassion and empathy and, you know, wanted this to be an ethical um investigation and portrait of what had happened. And I think she did an excellent job doing that. And everyone, Story Syndicate, Jenny Elliskew and Alyssa Hess and the team at Hulu, everyone has just been, you know, completely and totally online with that. Um, you know, bringing it to TIFF was an honor. It was really exciting. It was our third time at TIFF with the project and Erin's first time, and she was just over the moon. I think she posted on social media that it was the night of her life, or, you know, best night of her life. And you know, you could feel that. It's an insanely difficult thing to make a documentary, and Erin poured herself into it the last couple of years, and it was gratifying sitting with her in the audience, and especially the first screening. You know, it was at 8:30 at night. It's like a Friday night. It was 1,200 people. I mean, I joked it was like we were at a UFC fight. People were booing and cheering and laughing, and it was an excellent
Yeah.
way to see it be received. You know, it's a tense, scary, upsetting film, but it was amazing to see it in the real world. And I'm really relieved by the reaction.
Thank you, and congratulations again. I just, again, this is rather surreal. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. Thank you for this
Of
film.
course.
I'm so excited to have it as part of our festival. And just a thank you as a gay man for all that you two have done for our community and your presence and just
Oh,
all that you,
thanks.
yeah. So
Thank you
yeah,
for the support. We owe everything to the queer community. I know, you know, we know this firsthand, but our community is what holds us up, and we're so proud to be a part of the community and grateful to have people still show up and give a shit. So thank you. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it very much.
thanks. It was nice talking to you.
Okay, see you later.
Thanks so much. Thanks.